Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to take a look at another Android TV box, which is the T8V right over here. And that being said, let's go straight for the unboxing experience as usual here on the channel. Now really quickly, as you can see on screen, and I will give you a few seconds, and of course I will post the description on the screen so that it helps out. But moving on to a closer look at the T8V. Now this is a box built of a brushed aluminium, so in terms of build quality it is really nice. It's actually one of the most beautiful boxes that I've had used, but this is always subjective because what I like you probably won't like, and what you do like I won't like, and so on and so forth. Now that being said, moving on to the connectivity of the box, I'll give you guys also, as usual, a few seconds so that you can see. But once again, the box is really elegant in my opinion, and I will post a few notes on the screen so that it helps out to see the ports and the connectivity of the box itself. Now this particular box has a hard drive enclosure, as you guys can see on screen. We just need to open a small door beneath, and then we can insert an SSD or a mechanical hard drive. In this particular case, 2.5-inch hard drives, but it can be particularly useful for those that want to save content on the box itself and then stream from that hard drive to this box, and also make it available to share content across our network to other devices, which can be very useful. Now in my opinion, a NAS unit is the best way to do so, but for those of you that are saving for a NAS and want to use one of these boxes as a middle ground to share content to other devices, this can be very useful. Now another scenario that I can see is also using this hard drive for those that want to install a lot of apps. Now, as you guys know, since Android 6, we can use USB or SD cards or even internal hard drives to expand our internal storage so that we can make use and install apps. So as you can see, 1 terabyte to install apps, it is a lot. Moving to the launcher, usually machines come with one launcher pre-installed, and what I usually do is I do install another launcher, usually the KKM launcher or Zen UI launcher or Google Now launcher, something simple. But in this particular case, we have 3 launchers that we can choose from. The one that comes by default is the EBM launcher, and then it has a Kodi launcher, which is, at least for what I've seen, exactly the same as EBMC launcher, but it has the Kodi shortcut over there. And then it brings the Google Now launcher that it's pre-installed, but of course we can download it from a Play Store and install. And of course there are a lot more launchers that we can use. Now just a word that in terms of the launcher itself, the EBMC launcher, what I can see is that for a first-time user of an Android machine, it might be a little bit easier to use. But guys, you know me, I do prefer a clean style launcher, and I will show you a few images there on screen, which I'm probably sure that you are tired of seeing that kind of image. But this is the way that I prefer to use my box. Is really clean, and hopefully you've had the time to see the launcher that I use. Now in terms of specifications, the T8V comes with the AM Logic S912, 16 gigabytes of flash storage, 2 gigabytes of RAM with Android 6.0.1, and it has online updates, but at this moment it's running the latest version, so I couldn't test it out, the auto feature. Now moving along to the remote control, what I can say is that it has one infrared remote control, which is not bad if we are going to use the basic apps or the apps designed for this kind of box. But once we want to take full advantage of an Android TV box, like I do here, browsing the web, searching and so on and so forth, then I always advise to get a wireless remote control. And this brand has a really cool, interesting wireless remote, which I'll show you on screen. This is the first wireless remote that I'm testing here with the backlight, which is actually really nice. And a lot of people ask me, hey Robert, is there any remotes? And there are a few with backlight, and this is one of them. Now it works great. It has a full keyboard on the back and the usual buttons on the front, as you can see, and they both will light up, so it's really useful for those of you that write in the dark when you are watching something or you are browsing the web and so on. Now, I don't want to waste much of your time, but hopefully you had the time to see the advantages. It's really cool if you want to browse the web, if you want to search something on Google, if you want to search something on the Play Store. And by the way, this wireless remote, which I'll leave a link down below, also has the voice recognition, so it is really cool for those of you that like to or prefer to search by voice instead of pressing the keys. Now, moving along to the benchmark so that we can compare as always with other devices. I'll post some images on screen, guys, so that you can see the tests that I did, but very quickly I did run as always CPU-Z, the DRM, so that we can check the license and so on and so forth, disk speed, and then Wi-Fi and Ethernet speed, Geekbench, AnTuTune, 3D Mark, iStorm Extreme, and finally Epic Citadel. And moving to the multimedia consumption of this device, which is what we use these boxes most of the time. Now, what I can say, and starting with the YouTube app, is that I could play videos up to 1080 with a really smooth playback, as you guys can see on screen. No issues at all. I'm really happy to see. Well, this is the basic that we can ask for a box, honestly, but sometimes we have disappointments here on the channel, as you have seen before, but it's not the case. Fortunately, this machine works great with YouTube. Also on Netflix it works great, but unfortunately the maximum resolution that we can use here is 480p, which is usual for this type of machine. So regarding Netflix, if you are a intensive user, this would not be the machine that I would suggest. If you're not, if you only use Netflix from time to time, then probably it's a machine to consider. Now, moving to the Nós TV, which is a Portuguese app from my ESP provider, which I always test it out. Probably not interesting for you guys that live outside Portugal, but just to say that it works great. For those of you that want to watch Portuguese channels and live abroad, all you need is a VPN connection, and then you can have all these Portuguese channels, which is something that I get requested a lot on the Portuguese channel, so I'm just sharing here with the global community. Now, moving to Kodi and the other app, which is pre-installed, called EBMC, which is based on SPMC version 16.7, and you are seeing on screen. I did test it out and it played everything 10-bit up to 4K with H.265 codecs and so on and so forth, with the exception of 4K H.264 which did not work. Now, I do have two samples, Tears of Steel and Big Buck Bunny, which have the H.264 codec, and they did not work on the 4K resolution. Now, I'm sure this is a small fix on the firmware, but just to mention that at this moment it's not working. I did test it out, the 1080 versions of these both movies, and they work fine. I also played around with my own 1080 MKV Blu-ray files that I've got on my network, and they play fine. So the only files that I could not play were these two with H.264 codecs. All other files, H.265 4K 8-bit and H.265 4K 10-bit, played fine, so it's just a matter of fixing the firmware. Now, moving to Kodi 17.3, which I always test it out because most of people want to use Kodi, and what I can say is that it played everything. I didn't have the same issues that I had with EBMC, so all worked okay. 10-bit, 8-bit up to 4K, H.265 and H.264 codecs running from my network, and everything was really smooth. Now, moving to the Android gaming, guys, it's not a surprise that this machine runs everything that I did throw at it. I did play Asphalt 8 Airborne and Respawnables, which are two of my favorite games at the moment, and they work just fine. Any machine with the AM Logic S905 should theoretically or equivalent should play any game available on the Play Store, and the only reason that I see not to play is when there is a mistake on the firmware or when the firmware is not implemented, which is not the case this machine actually works really good, so there is no issues at all in terms of performance, both on multimedia playback and also on gaming. And while I was talking, you were watching a few images on screen, and now let's move on to game stream, which is one of the things that I really enjoy, and those that follow the channel know that I do. But what I can say is that the experience was also really nice. I did play around with Rocket League, game streaming games from our computer to this Android TV box, and this just to simulate that we can have our computer on our office and then the Android TV box on our living room TV, and if we want to play PC games on our big TV on a living room or bedroom and so on and so forth, we can do so, and it works great. And as a last test, as I always do, AirPlay, both from my iOS phone and also from the Mac, it played perfectly, no issues at all, using as always AirPlay Pro, which is my favorite app for this. And what I can say is that it streamed the phone without any issues. There's always a small lag, but this is normal. And then streaming high bitrate files like the live slideshows from the Apple or Mac OS or OS X computer to the box, so that I can stream my live slideshows from my photo library. It worked perfectly, as you guys can see, the image and also the audio, which you are not listening, but what I can say is that it works great. So I'm really happy with the overall performance of this device. And that is it. Hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget that usual thumbs up. My name is Roberto George, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.